My name is Erica Johnson. I married my husband, who is 10 years older than me, 2 years ago, and we've been living together with our stepchildren, making a family of 4. My daughter, who is 4 years old, and my husband's stepson, a 15-year-old middle schooler. The stepson, named Michael, is a troubled teen and has started to bully my daughter, Emily. One day, out of the blue, Michael punched Emily in the stomach, making her cry. When I rushed over after hearing Emily's cries, I found Michael taking photos, seemingly amused by the situation.
What are you doing?
Well, her face is just so funny. I barely hit her, and she's crying like a baby. What a crybaby. When I asked Emily, it seemed Michael had punched her in the stomach without any warning. He didn't hold back and seemed to have hit her with quite a bit of force. Emily was in a lot of pain, holding her stomach.
She's only 4 years old. How can you be so cruel? Don't you think about how others feel?
I couldn't stay silent after seeing my daughter hurt like this. So I scolded him sternly. But then, Michael turned his anger towards me.
Shut up. You're not even my real mom. Stop acting all high and mighty.
With that, he shoved me away. Michael tends to lash out physically when something upsets him. Even towards me, a woman. I could tolerate it if it were just me, but I can't forgive him hurting Emily. Since talking to Michael didn't work, I decided to discuss this with my husband. When my husband got home and I brought up Michael's behavior, he looked visibly upset.
Complaining about Michael again? You always favor your own daughter. It's because of your attitude that Michael acts out.
I understand that no parent likes to hear their child criticized. But in this situation, Michael was clearly in the wrong. I pleaded with my husband to talk to Michael, as nothing I said seemed to matter. But my husband just seemed annoyed.
Why do I have to lecture him?
I'm tired from work.
Michael hit a 4-year-old girl. Isn't it normal to scold him for that?
Maybe Michael had his reasons for hitting her. It's not fair to blame only him.
What reason could there be? He was taking pictures of Emily crying, for fun. That's crossing a line. And for Michael's future, he needs to be disciplined now, or he might end up in real trouble.
Stop nagging. It's Emily's fault for provoking Michael. I get that you love your own daughter more, but blaming Michael is wrong. It's actually my husband who always favors his own child. Whenever something comes up, my husband always prioritizes Michael. Even when we talk about going out to eat, he never listens to Emily's opinion and only cares about what Michael wants. It seems like Emily has her grievances, but she always keeps them to herself. I guess she's scared of getting scolded by my husband and Michael if she speaks up. The image of Emily's sad face comes to my mind, and I feel my emotions rising.
If we're going to keep living together, you need to discipline Michael properly. You say I only dote on my daughter, but isn't that what you're doing? Emily is always being forced to hold back. I wish you'd think about her a bit more.
What? What did you just say? I could see that my words had made my husband even angrier. While we were arguing, Emily came over. Probably worried about what was happening. What's going on? Mom, are you guys fighting? I'm sorry for scaring you. Damn, what an annoying kid. I can see why Michael wants to hit her.
What? What are you saying in front of Emily?
Well, it's true, isn't it? She always starts crying over nothing and never warms up to us.
That's because you've never opened your heart to Emily.
Man, I shouldn't have married a divorced woman with a kid. I felt something break inside me at my husband's words. I just can't go on with this person anymore. That's what I was certain of. Leave right now. What? I'm fed up with you guys. Let's just get a divorce.
Don't get mad. It's her fault she gets hit. You always take your daughter's side. Try being a good kid for once.
My husband said this to Emily. She looked like she was about to cry. I had reached my limit. We're getting a divorce. This is the end for us.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
You think you can divorce me? You can't live without my income.
I'm serious. I can't do this with you guys anymore. Fine by me. Just seeing your faces irritates me. It'll be a relief to get divorced." Saying that, my husband left, laughing loudly. He showed no sense of crisis. Later, I signed the divorce papers I had prepared earlier and submitted them to the court. These papers were actually prepared by my husband. Whenever he was unhappy with something, he would threaten divorce. "If you're gonna keep complaining, I'll just divorce you. I only asked you to discipline Michael. Why does it have to come to divorce?" "It's because you keep making Michael out to be the bad guy. I was just saying it's not good for Michael's upbringing to keep going like this. He's out at night, causing trouble at school. That's why you're so annoying. Sign here, and I'll submit it to the court." This was how my husband had threatened me, showing me the filled-out divorce papers. I think I lost any love for my husband about a year after we got married. But I stayed because I wasn't ready to leave yet. I didn't just file for divorce. I also filed a report for the harm done to Emily. When I talked to Emily, it turned out that she had been hit by Michael many times when I wasn't around. Emily had been threatened by Michael that he'd hurt her badly if she told me, so she never reported it. There were also several injuries on her body caused by Michael. Additionally, Emily had the habit of keeping a daily diary. She had meticulously recorded the instances when Michael hit her. I submitted this diary to the police. That evening, my husband and Michael, unaware of everything, came home as usual. They expected, as if it were the most normal thing, that I would prepare dinner for them.
"Hey, haven't you prepared dinner yet? I'm tired from work, you know?"
"Yeah, hurry up and get it ready. You're such a useless mom." As usual, the two of them vented their dissatisfaction at me. Before, I would have reluctantly started cooking for them, but not anymore.
"Hey, you don't belong here anymore, okay? We're strangers now, so could you please not just walk in like you own the place?"
"What are you talking about? This is our home too. Just get the dinner ready already."
"Look, I told you I'm divorcing you, remember? Or did you forget?"
Then my husband began to laugh mockingly, with Michael joining in.
"What's so funny?"
"That's probably just a bluff, right? You, a stay-at-home mom, divorcing me? How would you even live without me? You can't manage a decent life without me. Really, you and your daughter are just leeches on Dad. It's sad that he had to support people who aren't even his own family. They clearly didn't understand their situation at all." I decided it was time to inform them of the reality. "I submitted the divorce papers today. So we're strangers now. You funny." My husband was reluctant to believe, which only increased my irritation. But I responded calmly, without getting emotional. "Do you think I'm joking about this? If you think it's a lie, go check with the office. We're strangers now."
"Hey, are you serious?"
"I've been saying that." It seemed he finally believed me. His face, which had looked so smug before, suddenly paled. "But how are you going to live as a stay-at-home mom? You're not expecting me to raise 2 kids on my own, are you?" "Of course, I'll take care of Emily. I have no intention of relying on you in the future, so don't worry." "What? You have no income. How will you survive? Are you and your daughter going to be homeless?" "Don't worry about money. I have a job now that pays as much as a company employee." "What? What are you talking about? You don't work, do you?" "No, I do. Actually, I've been working from home. I've been saving up, just in case something like this happened." Hearing that I had been working, my husband was visibly shocked. I started working from home as a web designer about a year ago. With nearly a decade of experience in a web production company, I had the necessary skills. At first, my earnings were just pocket money, but after landing a big project, I now earn as much as my husband. I had quit my job a few months after we got married. At his insistence. He never imagined I could earn this much. He was speechless for a moment.
"So you've been secretly working behind my back?"
"I had to protect Emily. Plus, I didn't want to depend on you for the rest of my life."
"What? It's like you were planning to divorce me from the start."
When I first met you, I thought your assertive personality was manly and good. But after marrying, I realized it was different. You're always selfish, and you raise your voice whenever something doesn't go your way. I guess Michael picked up that trait from you.
What?
My husband was clearly displeased, but I didn't care and continued. I used to be concerned about his mood, but not anymore. Then I turned to Michael.
What do you want?
I've reported to the police what you did to Emily. The report has been accepted, so please make sure to pay for your actions.
Police?
Michael was clearly shaken by the mention of the police. Even he was afraid of them.
You really filed a report?
He asked in a trembling voice. I nodded firmly in response.
But I only punched her in the stomach, right? That can't be enough to involve the police.
Everything you've done to Emily has been revealed. She's been keeping a diary of everything that's happened. Plus, there are marks on her body that you caused. She's told me everything. Then Michael looked down and clicked his tongue. Emily isn't here. I didn't want her involved in our conversation, so I left her with my parents.
Damn her! Telling unnecessary things.
It seems you threatened her, saying if she told me, you'd hurt me too. She didn't want me to get hurt, so she kept quiet. Unlike you, Emily is a considerate child. I may have been harsh, but I spoke my mind. Then Michael looked at me with pleading eyes.
Please, anything but the police. I don't know what they'll say at school if this gets out.
No, I will not forgive you.
Why not? I'm part of your family, aren't I?
What are you saying now? Sorry, but I don't think of you as my son. And I'm divorcing this man anyway. From now on, we're nothing to each other. Saying this, I coldly dismissed Michael. Then Michael looked down and began to cry softly. Ignoring him, I continued speaking to my husband. So, as promised, please leave this house. You don't belong here anymore.
What are you talking about? This house is mine. You're the ones who should leave.
I couldn't help but laugh at my husband's words. Apparently, he had forgotten something important.
What's so funny?
You're mistaken thinking this house is yours.
What? This house is definitely mine.
Don't be ridiculous. This house is in my name, remember?
What?
My husband's mouth fell open in shock. He went silent for a while, his face turning pale as he remembered.
You might have left the contract to me, but we agreed to change it to your name later, right?
We talked about it, but you said you didn't want to deal with the paperwork and told me to leave it in my name. Forgot that too?
So this house is still in your name?
Yes, I've been saying that. I've been paying most of the rent anyway. You can't complain if I keep it, right? My husband fell silent. We've been living in an apartment with a rent of about $4,000. For about half a year after we got married, my husband paid it, but then he stopped contributing much to our living expenses, and I had to pay. I wasn't working at the time, so I had to dip into my savings to get by. I asked him to contribute to the living expenses, but he refused. And even got angry and lashed out at things, so I couldn't press him further. Realizing the house wasn't his, my husband began to show obvious signs of distress.
So if the house is in your name, we're the ones who have to leave, right?
That's right. I've been paying most of the rent, after all.
So, what if we don't get divorced, then?
What? He had been the one to push the divorce papers at me, and now he was changing his tune. I was appalled at my husband's sudden shift in attitude. It seemed there was a reason he didn't want the divorce.
Please! I can't afford to divorce you right now.
Why? Weren't you the one who said you were ready to dump me anytime?
Yeah, but I'm in trouble now.
What do you mean?
Actually, I don't have much money right now.
My husband murmured this. Then he began to reveal something he had never told me before.
I didn't tell you, but about 6 months after we got married, my salary was cut. Now, it's only about 2/3 of what it was when we first got married.
Why did your salary get cut? He turned away, seeming to find it hard to answer. From his reaction, it seemed like he had caused some kind of problem. My guess was right. Apparently, He made a mistake at work that was bad enough to get him fired, and his salary was cut as a result. He somehow managed to avoid being fired after convincing the company. Even with a 2/3 salary, he was still earning more than most people his age. But the reason he had no money was that he was pouring his earnings into gambling. He used gambling to relieve stress from work. There were times he won, but more often he lost, and his savings were nearly depleted. That must have been why he stopped contributing to the household. He had no money left due to gambling. Now it all made sense. I understand that you don't have money, but I still have no intention of staying with you. I've already submitted the divorce papers. We can just submit the marriage papers again, right? What's the point for me to stay with you? I'd get nothing but a violent stepson who hurts my daughter. Hey, stop saying bad things about Michael. He's hurting too. Michael was sitting nearby, crying. Seeing him like that didn't affect me. Emily had suffered much more than him. It might sound harsh, but I wish Michael would suffer a lot more. You always take your son's side. Well, yeah, Michael is my real son. Then it's only fair for me to side with my real daughter, right? To protect Emily, I'll cut ties with you. Please, never bother us again. I spoke firmly, but my husband seemed unable to accept it. Then he started saying this. Did you tell our parents about the divorce? I bet my dad and mom won't agree. My parents agree with the decision, and I've already informed your parents. They even apologized on your behalf. No way! He couldn't believe it. But it was true. I had already informed my in-laws. Fortunately, they are reasonable people. When I told them about the situation at home, they deeply apologized. They said they had no right to oppose our divorce and agreed with it. However, my husband still didn't want to believe it. There's no way my parents would agree. They were so happy about our marriage. Why don't you check with them then? He seemed unsure about it. And hesitated. So, we're divorcing, right? There's a matter of packing your things. I'll give you a week, so please leave soon. Wait! Let me confirm with my parents first. I can't accept this. Suit yourself. Then he started calling his parents. My mother-in-law answered the phone. And was cold towards him. I could hear her voice too. You really agreed to our divorce? Yes, we did. Continuing this marriage would only make Erica and Emily suffer. In fact, we were the ones who suggested the divorce. No way! They were so happy about our marriage. Sure, we were happy then. But who knew you would turn out to be such a terrible husband, neglecting to contribute to the household and constantly complaining to Erica. And you never reprimanded Michael for hurting Emily. But Emily's not my real daughter. You married Erica, right? Then you should have treated her precious daughter Emily equally. But I guess whatever I say now won't make a difference to you. My mother-in-law is usually a calm and kind person. She had always been like that towards my husband too. He must not have expected such a cold response from her. He was visibly shaken. I hope you understand, but your father and I intend to cut ties with you. We have no desire to associate with Michael, who hurt Emily, so please don't come back here again. Are you serious? Do you think I would joke about something like this? You have no right to stop the divorce, so to avoid any more trouble, please leave quickly. That's all I have to say. Goodbye. With that, my mother-in-law unilaterally ended the call. After that, my still unsatisfied husband tried to call my in-laws several times, but they ignored him. It seemed they had even blocked his number on their cell phones. My husband, now abandoned by his own parents, slumped down, seemingly out of his senses. Then, Michael began to speak. His eyes were red and swollen with tears. Please, don't tell the police. I was having a hard time at school and I took it out on Emily. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. Michael, tearfully, began to explain his feelings. The reason he had been harassing Emily was due to stress at school. Despite his flashy appearance and behaving like a delinquent, it seemed Michael was completely ignored by his schoolmates. He was supposedly part of a certain delinquent group, But even they didn't really consider him a friend and just used him. Michael was lonely, having no real friends and always feeling isolated. He told me all this while crying.
But that doesn't change the fact that you hurt Emily, does it? Just because you were hurt doesn't mean you can hurt others, right?
Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him easily. Michael probably thought he would be forgiven if he told the truth. His eyes filled with even more tears.
I'm really sorry. I won't ever hurt Emily again. If this gets out at school, I'll lose whatever place I have left. I can't bear to be hurt anymore.
So it's only you who shouldn't be hurt? It's okay to do whatever you want to others?
Of course, I'm sorry, but please, not the police.
I'm sorry, but I will never forgive you.
The police are already on their way, so be prepared for questioning. No, no!
Michael collapsed to the ground, crying loudly. Then, my husband spoke up again.
Please, spare him from the police. He didn't mean any harm.
So if there's no ill intent, it's okay to punch a small child? To scratch with your nails? To pull hair?
No, I didn't mean that.
My husband was overwhelmed by my assertiveness. I used to be someone who just followed what he said. But not anymore. At that time, I was more assertive than I had ever been before.
From now on, please never show your face in front of us again. If you try to contact us, I'll immediately call the police. Do you really hate me that much?
My husband asked in a trembling voice. His eyes were also red. I despise you.
Just looking at your face fills me with revulsion.
I told him this clearly, and he began to cry.
What did I do wrong?
Not knowing the reason is exactly why it's over. You two just go on and live your lives. Emily and I will be happy together. My husband, who had always been overbearing to me, seemed truly shocked by the word hate. As we were having this conversation, the police arrived at the house. It seemed they came for an investigation. Then, we underwent questioning by the police. Michael was just crying and couldn't really talk, so I spoke on his behalf and told them everything. Of course, I proceeded with the divorce. I demanded compensation from Michael for injuring Emily. Naturally, Michael had no money to pay, so my ex-husband ended up bearing the cost. The compensation forced my ex-husband into debt. Even so, his gambling habit didn't change and his debts snowballed. Eventually, debt collectors came to his workplace, and he decided to quit his job. He then started working part-time, barely scraping by. As for Michael, the fact that he had hurt Emily spread around the school, and he became even more isolated. Unable to attend school, he began living a reclusive life at home. With no friends, Michael must be leading a lonely existence. Of course, I feel no sympathy for them. In fact, I feel relieved that they are getting their just desserts. On the other hand, I moved out of the apartment with Emily to a different place. I didn't want to continue living in a place filled with memories of them. Since Emily and I started living alone, she has been showing more smiles. Seeing Emily happy gives me peace of mind. I intend to continue protecting my precious daughter.